like if I'm betting on a fight, I probably don't know if I'm betting a knockout. But Ryan Garcia, with his focus and how he's coming in, I can see him getting a knockout.
So what is your prediction?
I mean, you know, Ryan is a puncher. You know, he a puncher. He can land that big shot on anybody. Man, prediction, I just want to see a good fight.
It's the D-Day already, and just when it was thought to be enough, more boxing professionals have shown up to reveal their picks ahead of the matchup between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney.
It was a great fight. I lean slightly toward Devin. I know they both fought in the amateurs.
And it's not just about the new favorite everyone's talking about. There are also new and shocking revelations about Ryan Garcia you surely want to hear about.
Good fight. It's a good fight for both of them at this point in their career.
If you were to favor someone, who would it be?
Neither one.
Neither one?
Neither
No?
one.
You see it as even, or?
Again, I would have to sit down and break.
The D-Day is right here before our very eyes as Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney lock horns in the boxing ring for the 7th time since their amateur days. The months of controversies, the weeks of heated exchanges, and the days of intense verbal sparrings would all come to an end today. And the biggest names in the world of boxing have shown no reluctance in revealing their final picks ahead of the bout. You'd never want to miss out on their picks and predictions, as there's hardly anyone sitting on the fence here.
Devin's gonna be a hard guy to beat for sure, but I'm all Garcia. I hope he beats his ass.
Why?
Cause I know Ryan, so I'm with the guys.
The two fighters before you have met before in the amateur divisions. They are 3 wins each. Never as a professional. Tomorrow night.
The champion Haney will arrive at the Barclays Center boasting a great run of form. His professional boxing record stands at an impressive 31 fights unbeaten. The 25-year-old Californian has a perfect CV showing 15 knockouts from his 31 career wins, resulting in an eye-catching 48% knockout average. Haney has the raw power and work rate to win this bout inside the distance, especially if opponent Garcia makes the mistake of thinking he can walk through shots to land his power punches. The current keeper of the WBC World Super Lightweight title may possess power, but his last knockout win was in September 2019, when he stopped Zaur Abdullayev in 4 rounds at Madison Square Garden, New York. Since then, the fighter known as The Dream has faced 8 opponents and beaten them all on the scorecards over 12 rounds. We last saw 25-year-old Haney in action when beating the experienced Regis Prograis on a unanimous decision at the Chase Center in San Francisco. He beat a respected fighter by a comfortable margin, with the scorecards tallied in his favor by 120 points to 107 on all 3 cards, meaning he won every round of the dozen available. It was a landslide and another example of Haney's skill at this level.
By unanimous decision, and the new WBC Super Lightweight.
The challenger, Ryan Garcia, on the other hand, will walk toward the ring in Brooklyn with a record that's not as impressive as the champion, but his CV shows he's an elite-level operator and a fighter who belongs at this level. Ryan's professional boxing record, ahead of his eagerly anticipated fight with Haney, stands at 24 wins against 1 defeat, with 20 knockout victories and that 1 reverse suffered inside the distance. The 1 blot on Garcia's record was inflicted by Gervonta Davis at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas almost exactly a year ago. That was undoubtedly the biggest challenge King Rai has faced in an 8-year professional boxing career, and there's no getting away from the fact that Garcia came up short. The 25-year-old Californian boxer was sent to the canvas in rounds 2 and 7 before being saved from further punishment by a merciful referee in Thomas Taylor. Champions and great fighters aren't defined by never losing, but by how they respond to setbacks, and Garcia quickly returned to winning ways. He was last in action when beating Oscar Duarte Jurado inside 8 rounds in a non-title fight late last year, a win that helped catapult him back into the title picture. Victory tonight would earn Garcia the WBC belt while proving he has put that crushing loss to Tank Davis behind him. And if you've been doubtful about who stands the greater chance for a statement victory tonight, then you have these professionals to help you out. World Boxing Council lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson, who's been on the bad books of both Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, was the latest to make his predictions ahead of the bout.
I kind of think that he's not focused. I don't think that he really took the fight serious. It seemed like he was more so focused on selling the fight than actually, like, if I'm betting on the fight, I probably don't know if I'm betting a knockout.
He said, "I kind of think he's not focused. I don't think he really took the fight seriously. It seemed like he was more so focused on selling the fight than actually working and making sure that he's coming 100% ready for the fight. So I don't think it's an act. I think that it's just his focus was too drifted. And I honestly don't think he took the fight seriously. I heard he was drunk a week ago, and that's not good going to fight week after having alcohol and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't think it's an act."
Like, if I'm betting on the fight, I probably don't know if I'm betting a knockout. But Ryan Garcia, with his focus and how he's coming in, I can see him getting a knockout.
He further continued, "I mean, it's going to be dangerous because of the fact that you got a guy that's coming in and he's probably taking it a lot more seriously than you. He's going to come 100% prepared, but Devin's not a big power puncher. So if I'm betting on this fight, I don't know if I'm betting a knockout, but Ryan Garcia with his focus and how he's coming in, I can see him getting a knockout. I don't see Ryan Garcia winning in any way unless he's bluffing." While Haney has been the clear favorite of many professionals like Rolly Romero, Clarissa Shields, Isaac Cruz, Jeff Mayweather, Sebastian Fundora, Eddie Hearn, and Tim Tszyu, Ryan Garcia isn't bereft of support as well. One thing you'll notice about Garcia supporters is that his social media presence and lifestyle has earned him some relationships. And these relationships haven't only been useful during the course of his career, but it's made him the favorite of his pals as well. Floyd Mayweather has been playing many roles in Garcia's life lately, from his trainer, to his mentor, to his training partner, and even his information source. And unsurprisingly, with a little bit of bias in it, Floyd Mayweather has tipped Ryan Garcia for a win against Devin Haney. He has even ranked him among the very top 3 of the lightweight division, alongside Canelo Alvarez and Gervonta Davis.
Right now, in boxing right now, it's only 3. It's only 3.
Which are?
Canelo,
Facts.
Ryan, and Gervonta Tank Davis.
Keith Thurman has also tipped Ryan Garcia for a statement win, despite his health challenges and recent fears, hoping he gets the right help and support ahead of the bout. Nate Diaz was clear about the fact that his familiarity with Garcia was why he picked him over Haney. Canelo Alvarez, Ryan Garcia's former training mate, also hoped for a Garcia win, though he attached a condition to it, claiming the win was only possible if Garcia was 100%.
Devin's gonna be a hard guy to beat for sure, but I'm all Garcia. I hope he beats his ass.
Why?
Cause I know Ryan, so I'm with the guys.
However, Clarissa Shields, the female world champion, tended towards a win for Haney, owing to his experience and discipline in the ring. To her, Garcia's defense wasn't tight enough, and like it was in the Gervonta Davis fight, he might just be exposed again tonight.
That's all the time. A little bit, right? He really does. You know, I think the last fight's on YouTube. But
the 2014 fight, that's a case that a lot of fans go back and watch.
Go watch it.
Isaac Cruz, now tagged as the Mexican Mike Tyson, was on Haney's side, and it wasn't for any reason outside boxing. He simply felt Haney was in the perfect physical and mental condition for a win.
I think Ryan is going to lose to Devin. Devin's going to win because Devin's style and the way that he fights is just more apt for this kind of fight.
Joe Rogan, of course, was on Devin Haney's side as well, and it was for the reason of his experience, his style, and his conditioning. But the boxing world is such a huge one, and in a fight as big as this, more than enough professionals would surely want to air their opinions as well. Quite unpopularly, Chris Algieri has shockingly revealed a stance that won't go down well with many of the Garcia supporters, especially those who have claimed Devin Haney as a soft puncher. He claimed that the fight between Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia will not go the full 12 rounds. The former WBO junior welterweight champion believes Garcia will have a mental breakdown mid-fight and crumble in front of the Dream. Speaking about the fight in a recent interview, the American boxer predicted that Haney would overwhelm Garcia, forcing him to quit, or King Ree would self-sabotage his chances by getting himself disqualified. Algieri said, I don't think we'll see 12 rounds. I think Ryan goes out on a disqualification in 7, 8, 9 after a complete mental breakdown as Devin starts to take over. He is going to come out looking for the knockout. When he doesn't get it, I think he is going to fall apart. And by fall apart, I mean it's going to ugly fast. Timothy Bradley, famous boxing analyst and former world champion, took the fight a bit beyond the shores of boxing and somewhat compared it to a street fight, as both fighters aren't just engaging in a boxing bout, but in a bout that's brutally personal. And when it was time to predict, as you would expect, he proclaimed a convincing win for Devin Haney. Let's hear him out. I don't want to risk buying into something I maybe shouldn't, but this isn't a strictly in-the-ring fight. This is legitimately personal, as hinted at earlier. In the ring, Garcia still makes too many mistakes, despite the flashy ability and world-level potential. He adopted a Philly shell during his fight with Duarte, which was awkward. He still leaves himself open to be countered, and Haney is exactly the guy you don't want him against in this spot. I see Haney winning convincingly, and most will tell you to bet him by unanimous decision, and I understand the rationale, especially with the minus 120 odds offered at bet 365. But I really think there's more of a chance Haney stops Garcia than we expect.
I don't know. That's all I want to pick. Who you just can't say like, oh, this guy's a fast, but man. But the person that got speed and power.
I think Haney could counterpunch and outsmart Garcia into submission. I also expect a more aggressive effort from Haney, who is looking to make a statement, and this is from someone who did drop Prograis in December while not losing a minute of a round. I think Haney will initially lay traps and pick apart Garcia from range with his defense and counterpunching, and after using Garcia's aggression against him, break him down in the latter portion of the bout, he concluded. Famous boxing commentator and journalist Scott Christ saw picking Devin Haney as a no-brainer, as he ruled out the possibility of any magic or miracle from Ryan Garcia. Just can't pick Ryan Garcia here. Even if the whole build has been trolling, that's a lot of energy spent on everything that isn't his boxing training, and he needs to be better by a good bit than he's ever been to win this fight, he said. Let's say it's the best Garcia versus the best Haney. Then Ryan's chance boils down to his power, because he's just not as good a boxer as Haney, not as well-rounded. Haney fights smarter, more confidently, with less reacting to his opponent. Garcia's not a bad fighter, mind you. He has some skills, and he has some terrific natural gifts that he hasn't gotten the most of, but Haney at his best is an elite tier boxer in the game today. Ryan has never been that guy, however you want to break down the why of it. He then continued, if it's the best Haney versus a Garcia who isn't on top form, Haney will dominate. Devin has been hurt in fights before, but he's also tried to adjust to those mistakes, though they were relatively minor. He got an arguably fortunate decision over Vasily Lomachenko, but Garcia fights nothing like Lomachenko, and even at his best that'd be true. He's not going to test Haney's skill set the way Loma could. There's no other pick here. Haney either stops him or wins a wide and clear decision. The only thing that can trip Devin up right now is if he fights too emotionally, which has really never been a problem for him, and I just don't think Ryan Garcia's attempts to rile him up will stick once the bell rings. He's just going to do what he always does, and that's box, because that's what his focus in life is about. Another top boxing commentator, judge and journalist Will Esco didn't only predict a win, but he gave probably the most hilarious prediction ever. He gave a perfect description of what Ryan Garcia had looked like for the past few months, and it was really mind-blowing, he started. So I've been on this Helldivers 2 binge as of late, and putting in hours grinding out rare and super samples to fully upgrade my warship, which I had just recently achieved until this latest update. Fine, more work to do. I matchmake into one of the long 40-minute missions on suicide difficulty and artfully work my way through the entire map, collecting 31 samples myself, chopping down bile titans and blasting chargers, and avoiding an army of those obnoxious stalkers along the way. I'm a G like that. Finally, after investing the full 40 minutes in farming samples and taking no deaths, I get to the extraction zone where we set up defenses, anticipating the onslaught of enemies that will eventually swarm, you know, exactly how the mechanic of the game is designed. It gets a little hectic, but hardly anything unusual for the difficulty level, and just as the extraction shuttle is landing, instead of just jumping on the ship and being done with the mission, one of the rando idiots panics and calls in a cluster bomb airstrike on the LZ, on the entire LZ where we're all standing, wipes the entire squad, including himself, and cost me a precious 30-sample run, 40 minutes of my life, and an agonizing frustration that still haunts me. He then wrapped up by predicting a knockout win for Haney and saying, "This is as relevant as anything Ryan Garcia has said in the last few months." While you may think Canelo Alvarez and Keith Thurman were the best at this, no one actually showed more concern for Ryan Garcia than John Hansen, a boxing podcaster and journalist, who went as far as comparing Garcia's case with cases of other boxers and celebrities who lost their well-being and sanity recently. He said, "If you watch boxing for a year, you'll see something horrifying. People die in this sport, and not infrequently. Adus Yerbasi Newly wound up in a coma. Tank Davis goes to jail for domestic violence, then walks out and fights for a multi-million-dollar payday a week and a half later. A judge openly contemptuous of black people turns in an egregious scorecard against a black fighter and conveniently in favor of his opponent, who just happens to be a friend and countryman of her husband's boss." Over and above all of that, I think Ryan Garcia being sent out to fight on Saturday is the ugliest thing to happen in my time covering the sport. He further continued, "Something is clearly wrong with this young man. There's plenty of evidence that boxing may be witnessing a Kanye West or Britney Spears situation. Musicians don't get brain damage or die when they miss a note. But healthy, focused, fully prepared combat sports athletes fighting at the peak of their ability can and do suffer life-ruining outcomes, and Garcia is not focused or fully prepared. He's getting high as F during his prep time for this fight and showing up at fight events seemingly intoxicated. But there are millions of dollars to be made, so friends, family, promoters, management, broadcasters, and anyone else with room in their pockets are all going to just look away from whatever chaotic affliction is plaguing this man." He then wrapped up by predicting a victory for Haney. "Garcia has the faster hands and the heavier punches, and in a different situation, they could carry him past Devin Haney. But how can anyone assume Garcia is in a place to make use of those advantages right now? Haney is the only reasonable prediction, and I'll go with the decision because all I really want to see is both men walk out of the arena with minimal long-term damage." Popular boxing analyst and official of South Texas Amateur Boxing Association, Patrick Stumberg, was not only direct in his prediction, but he was creative and realistic as well. He limited Ryan Garcia's boxing career of 24 wins and 20 knockouts to a mere show of power and speed and qualified Haney in every way. Here's what he said. "Just as a thought experiment, let's give Ryan Garcia every benefit of the doubt. Let's assume that briefly transforming into a side character from the Righteous Gemstones was a high-level psychological ploy and he is, in fact, at the peak of his powers. What has he done in the ring to suggest that peak is anywhere close to Haney's? Looking mortal against Gervonta Davis is plenty forgivable. A goon he may be, but Tank is a terrific fighter. There's no excuse for that performance against Duarte. Garcia's management handpicked a lightweight with the most favorable style imaginable, and he still seemed markedly worse than when he stopped Luke Campbell. Pure speed and power aren't going to get him past Haney's jab or let him deal with Haney's clinch game, especially since both of those feats require a level of mental fortitude that Garcia simply does not have. Garcia needs Haney to be off his game to have any chance of winning, but I can't imagine him rattling someone who kept his cool against a fully dialed-in Lomachenko. Haney takes him to school, potentially scoring a late stoppage if Garcia implodes under the stress of being powerless to turn things out. Again, Max Kellerman, popular American boxing commentator, emphasized Garcia's speed. But while he did that, he claimed Garcia shouldn't be deemed as much as people claim, considering his best victories have come against struggling boxers. He said, "Anyway, Garcia's calling card is his blinding speed. Though I'm not actually sure it matters whether or not he's faster than Haney, because he's going up against a defensive wizard who has neutralized anyone he's ever fought. Well, then there's the Vasily Lomachenko debate, but he's a future Hall of Famer. Garcia should have the power advantage too. But again, does it matter if his best wins are against Luka Campbell, Javier Fortuna, and Oscar Duarte? Both are roughly 5'8" with 70-inch reaches, Haney a touch more, but physically, the difference isn't dramatic. Haney has been rocked before though. Jorge Linares caught him badly in round 10 of their May 2021 bout, a closer one than people maybe remember, but Haney was bailed out by the bell. He also continued, acknowledging that Garcia could cause a major upset, but again the chances of that are as slim as him staging an upset against Gervonta Davis. Garcia could catch Haney, sure, but Haney made Prograis look like a C-level fighter, and that was one of the most feared super lightweights of the past 5+ years, probably longer. The big knock on Haney is his power. He really didn't put away Yuriokis Gamboa? Yeah, that was shocking, but he did dominate. And as for Garcia, Gervonta Davis stopped him a year ago, almost exactly, and he was alive in that bout for a round, maybe 2? Well, tonight ends Ryan Garcia's drama, and he'd begin his reign either as a world champion or as a sore loser. And while he's been the favorite of a few folks, it's clear to the blind that many of those who picked him are within his circle, as Haney has been the general favorite. In a few hours, we'd get to see both fighters in action. And since you have no relationship with Garcia, we expect a neutral pick from you in the comment section. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, peace out.